Welcome everyone. This is the Rocket.Chat Engineering Podcast. I'm Rodrigo Nascimento, Rocket.Chat CTO and co-founder, and your host on this weekly podcast. Here we talk about the news on the engineering areas from the past week. I have with me today our backend leader and co-founder, Diego Sampaio.
Hello.
Our apps engine leader, Douglas Gubert.
Hello, folks.
Our cloud leader, Aaron Ogle.
Hello, hello.
Our front-end leader, Guilherme Gazzo.
Hello.
Our mobile leader, Mello.
Hey guys.
And our Omnichannel product manager, Renato Becker.
Hi guys.
So, thank you all for participating on this podcast. And so let's get started. So we have many things to talk about. This past release was a little bit big and delayed. And starting with that, Diego Sampaio, what do you have from the backend to share?
All right. Actually, more on the product side, I'd say. We have finally released the 3.8 release. It's finally out, the final version. It was a huge release with a bunch of new features and bug fixes. You guys can check that out on our blog post and on the release note on the GitHub. It has I have some numbers to share. According to GitHub, we had almost 800 changed files and more than 28,000 lines additions and almost 10,000 line deletions. So this is why it took so long to proper test, and the release candidate period took more than 2 weeks, where usually it takes only 1 week. But we are very proud of it. It has the first version of our microservices implementation, which is still in beta, but we are planning to, from now on, keep improving it to a more production state. But also, I would like to mention that this release will not delay the next one. So the 3.9 release is still scheduled for 27th this month. So the release candidate will be cut on 20th this month, so this Friday. So it will be a shorter release, but we'll try to do as many as we can. On the backend, we are planning to include some LDAP fixes and try to get it more stable. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think that's interesting thing. And you're keeping the release schedule, this next one. So do not expect any big news for the 3.9. Probably more improvements on what we ship it on 3.8, the sidebar and microservices and all the other 800 changed files. That's a lot. Do you have any idea of the average number of changes? Any previous releases, Diego? Maybe something you can. Okay, maybe something you can have that for some episode to, understand how much files and line codes we change on every map. That's an interesting thing.
True.
Yeah, nice. I think that's as you mentioned, it's the most important thing now on the microservices to make it on the scalability overall, to make it stable and document a little bit better, have more metrics. That's the focus, one of the focus for this 3.9, and the rest is kind of to make everything more stable. And that just be nice to see people using this new version once you have it out of beta. Nice. Thank you. So Doug, you're the next. What are the news on the apps engine?
Hello. So, kind of complementing what Diego said. We've released the apps engine version 1.19, which is the latest stable that goes with Rocket.Chat version 3.8. We've also released the new patch version for the app CLI with some changes to the templates we use to scaffold out new apps when you use like RC apps create. So some versions and dependencies are going to be more up to date now after you scaffold a new app. We seem to have a problem in our compiler in the marketplace. So if you've been trying to submit your apps, we might have been notified of some compiler errors. We are still investigating it along with the cloud team. And as soon as something, we hope to have like some updates, hopefully by the end of today on that. And also we are investigating another bug that happens that makes the apps being randomly disabled in high availability clusters setups. We've actually found out that it's not that some apps are being disabled, but rather they are not enabled correctly whenever there is a restart of the cluster. We're still trying to pinpoint exactly what it is that happens, and we are evolving on how we're going to solve it. But we've had already some progress, so hooray! And I think, is anyone going to say something? I hear.
No, I just said nice. That's good. Sorry.
Okay. Also, we're still working on some definitions for the permission system. We are kind of wrestling with this big beast for a while. We have worked on a private RFC for now with kind of a compilation of all of the things we've discussed as far, and we're trying to break everything down into some more actionable items to push this forward, right? And a part of that, like we've had a new last week. We usually have some kind of a retrospectives every now and then. And we have a very interesting one last week where we talked a lot about like our processes for defining and scoping and breaking down the features we plan into tasks. And we were not very satisfied with how it was going. So in last retrospective, we talked about it, tried to uncover like the pain points. And we discussed on some action items we can bring to change this kind of definition process so that we can make it like we can make it easier for us to break it down, the things we're going to work into better tasks, better defined tasks, better scoped tasks, which will then make it easier for us to properly try to estimate, and then after we've completed those tasks, we can then look back and understand how accurate our estimates were, and then get all this kind of feedback out of the data we've provided. So we're very excited with this with some new actions we've defined. We've applied something already earlier today in our when we were talking about the permission system. So yeah. That's something interesting that happened, engineering related as well. And that's it for this week.
Nice. It's always hard to estimate things correctly. Like I'm always thinking to estimate correctly, you need to put too much effort that we almost get, the same time developing the feature itself to estimate it perfectly, or going close. So yeah, it's hard to have that going correctly. nice to see. And I guess we are discussing as well to have one of the first episodes, specific episodes of specific things on the engineering areas, to be the apps engine, the TypeScript removal, and this permission system, to talk about what you're thinking, how, why we are doing that, and how that will be maybe implemented, so people know what we're doing. That's something we're going to have soon, discussing with the team, Douglas and his team, to see when we can schedule this. Stay tuned. Moving on, Aaron, what are the news on the cloud?
All right, so kind of continuing on, it's kind of a theme. Push Gateway last week, so we kind of finished up our proof of concept for the multi-region, and we're actually we're working on finalizing and figuring out when and where we'll get this deployed. So we'll share news with this soon, hopefully. We fixed quite a few bugs in our registration process. So the process of registering with the cloud, and we've had some more verbose error messages, like when you're trying to OAuth and link your Rocket.Chat account with the cloud, so that you can do things like marketplace purchases and so on. We also, kind of along that same lines, we're doing some digging into some of the weird like errors we've seen happen in Rocket.Chat, specifically around talking to the cloud, right? If you're like doing like a license check, right? Trying to fetch a new license. There's been some kind of random bugs, and we actually kind of narrowed it down to a behavior of Meteor, where Meteor tries to kind of encourage async and deferred actions, right? So one of the ways they do that is like in the Meteor collections is to like fire off the write and not wait on that write, right? And then wait on the op log to tell them that the write actually succeeded. And it also has like the collections have a cache. And so it's one of the issues happening is mostly, I think, probably in the multi instance setups, a token would be like refreshed. And then if another instance tried to use that token and it hadn't yet actually received the update on the op log, then tries to use the old token. And so there's just kind of this whole like stale data situation. So I guess long story long, we're working on actually switching those calls to not use the cache. So we make sure we always get the freshest data. So we'll try to get that actually in the next release. Another thing, kind of a moral in the infrastructure line. So a while back, we switched over to using Mello instead of AWS. And one of the things that's kind of more complicated with Mello is kind of the codifying your infrastructure. So we're doing a lot of work there, trying to really codify and make it so that with Mello we can get up to speed with new nodes as fast as possible. So we're doing quite a bit of work there, and hopefully this may be one of the things we talk about in a future episode. Is kind of some of the things we're working on. I guess going on over to this week. So a lot of the things, like I said, are carrying over into this week. And I think, as we mentioned previously, we have a new design for the registration process that's been completed. So we're trying to finish up the kind of RFC and get it over into implementation, because the most complicated part about this is really trying to make sure we don't break anything, right? This has already been kind of a little bit rougher than we would like. So we want to make sure that it's smooth sailing with this new process. So I think that's pretty much it for me.
Awesome. I was about to ask that issue you were mentioning about the caching was like we discovered that while investigating the new implementation of this new registration process. Was that related to?
Yeah, so this was like we're actually trying to fix the OAuth bugs and stuff we were seeing, and we just kind of noticed this kind of pattern, right, of things happening. And there's actually another bug I was fixing related to injecting OAuth from environment variable. was noticing that it was injected, and he tried to pull that same setting immediately, and if it was too fast, then the setting did not actually exist in the database yet, and so that kind of led to this is what's happening with the connectivity services, right? Is that the data is just not there fast enough, maybe slow offlog or multi-instance. So, yeah.
I see. Weird things happening. It happens. Nice, thank you. Moving on, front end. Gazzo, what are the news on your side?
So last week we were working on a lot of regressions about we improved a lot the presence and stuff that we are released less in the last release. We had some difference between some presence because we are using different components, and now we fixed that, and it's a good thing. And beyond the last release, we started I think the big thing that we're gonna release in 3.9 is we are removing some languages from the block code on Markdown, and actually is a huge thing because we saved, I think, almost a megabyte from the bundle. And
how is that proportional to how is the
lot.
full size of the bundle, just to understand the size of this change?
Sure. Yeah, the bundle without any kind of compression, like gzip, or is something like 4 mega, and now we are using 3. So and using compression, we are under 1 mega from the whole bundle compressed. So finally we reached this size again. It has been a long time that I didn't see the bundle at this size, and last week we are working to fix the Internet Explorer. We upgraded the Babel compiler on Fuselage, and the new version just ignored, or we ignored some changes, or I don't know who ignored, but we were building with some new language stuff in JavaScript, so the Internet Explorer was broken, but now we are ready to fix it. And the server info page that I mentioned last week, we already finished. So yeah, that's it. Oh, we are moving a lot of small pages like the contextual bar parts to React. So we already have 4 pages written in React, and it is a good thing. And that's it.
Cool. And I saw that you were working with the QA team to have some of this Internet Explorer 11 automated tested for the future, so we can figure out if it's break as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, our libraries like Fuselage or any other under Fuselage are covered by tests, but since we run the test over a Chrome VM, some features from Internet Explorer, like we just ignored this part, then we are trying to run the same. It's like a naive test, like only if the component got rendered or things like that. But this kind of test would prevent for like building or some features that we didn't realize that Internet doesn't offer support. So yeah, probably next release is going to be protected from this kind of situation. And yeah, and we are actually during this rewrite, we are helping them to improve how they will make the tests, like the end-to-end tests, and I hope how they reach the components, the elements in the page, and how they for a long time we are using CSS classes to make this, but it's not the best because usually developers change the class, and now we are even using generated classes for styling, so it's almost impossible to keep tracking. So we are changing for data attributes, and I hope it helped them to keep things working. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we haven't. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to say, I'm kind of curious how many components are left to go to React, right? We've done so much work, it's got to be pretty close, right?
You mean how, if you have a lot of to finish?
Yeah, like how many do we have left to convert from to React?
The not the component itself, but the pages are, I think we have like 20 pages on the contextual bar to finish, like the like notification preference, and a lot of, it is a small screen. It are small screens, but it's a lot of work to do, like converting each one and guaranteeing that is everything okay. And we still have like the login page and the OAuth page to rewrite, and the composer, the message box. Beyond that, I think we are almost, if we finish this mention, we are almost done. But it still is a lot of things to do. We have a lot of settings and different variations and different behaviors that we need to keep track. And it's, that part is the worst part. Not sometimes we rewrite the like how we are used to see, like how open and how the Rocket.Chat usually use, but we still have a hidden feature there that then we need to keep like spending time, and nobody else will realize that we are working, because the feature is only for, we have like some
only
crypto
for who
stuff.
enabled.
Yeah.
Only for who enables the feature, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's kind of specific. Like I face like how can I say the not intention, is like the feeling. We had a feature called feeling for the rooms and sentiment. Yeah. I don't think it's, we have this feature enabled in some server, but yeah, this kind of feature we have, then we need to check. But yeah, that's it. I think until the next quarter, I think we're gonna be done. I'm not promising, but I would love to see this done until then.
Now, you were working on the final messages components, right? To attachments and things like that to the room part, right?
Yeah, this will be the I think the biggest job, the work, because it's where we have more variations and different templates, and it is more sensitive, because I think this is the most used template, the message template, so we need to make it fast as we can, and that's why we're planning for the last, it will be the last template, because it's special. Then, but yeah, we already started some prototypes and some, because we need to use on the lists, like as threads and discussion, but it's not done yet to change on as a complete message template.
We see. Oh yeah, thank you. I was about to just mention that we bought testing software that we can run those testings on Internet Explorer, Safari. So we are going to have this kind of regression tests on top of those browsers that we were not able to make them using the libraries we are using, open source libraries we are using today. That was Cypress, and to run that on the CI is just running on Chrome, and now it's possible to run even on Firefox, but we're still running on Chrome only. So we have this QA team working with this new tooling to make this testing over Internet Explorer 11 mainly. That's the biggest issue that we cannot, no one is using here at the company, at least. So it's hard to figure out when things break, but we'll solve that soon. Okay, moving on mobile. Mello, what are the news on your side?
Last week we found a couple of issues on 4.12 related to users not being able to unmute on Jitsi and some issues on threads about marking channels and threads as read. We fixed them and we released the patch beta last week, and earlier today we released 4.12.1 public on App Store and Google Play. Hopefully everything is fixed and we can focus on 4.13 already, which is taking shape. We have a couple of PRs waiting for review already. The ones we finished last week are channel actions. The whole drop-down menu we can use on the web client to remove users from our room, set leaders, moderators, and all that stuff. SSL client certificate on Android. This issue we have to review still. And there's also 2 important ones from the community we're going to try landing on the same release, which are username on status messages and support password protected channels. On this week, we're going to work on some Android extension issues on Android 10 Plus. Speaking of which, Android 11 changed the way images are handled completely, and we haven't been able to find a way to deal with it. Hopefully, we can work around it. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. And we have a job position open, right, for the mobile. How is that? Do you have any candidates already?
Yes, we are interviewing some candidates. I don't know how long this position will stand. Hopefully, we can hire a new teammate soon.
Awesome. So as far as I know, it's open still, right? So people can still apply for this position.
Yes, it's open for a couple of weeks, I think.
Great. Thank you. So finally, Omnichannel, Renato, what do you have to share?
Hi, Rodrigo. Hi, guys. Yeah, last week I mentioned that the team was working on a set of improvements in the Omnichannel admin area. So there were a couple UI elements that were not working properly, as well as other UI components that were missing. So the team worked on it, and all related tasks have been completed. But as mentioned before, the 3.8 release just came out, so we need to speed up the review process in order to get all of these improvements in the next release by the end of this week. And now the team has finally started working on the Omnichannel directory, which is not just a single feature or improvement. It's actually a feature set that will support other important features that are going to be part of the roadmap short term, such as the contact manager and the ability to send outbound messages to Omnichannel end users. We are still in the very, very first stage, so I'm looking forward to seeing the next chapters. And regarding the integration with Salesforce CRM, we are making progress week by week. Last week I mentioned that the app was able to deal with contact data, like create and find contacts in Salesforce servers. So now we can also deal with cases, which is kind of a ticket. And yeah, I'm very excited. This implementation is on track, so certainly we'll get the first version of this app available by the end of this month. And the last but not least, last week, Facebook has finally release a new Instagram Messenger API, which is a long-awaited feature. It's customer demand. Companies want to assist their audience on Instagram, and now we'll be able to implement our own integration. So we are not able yet because we still need to get some credentials, but the plan is to work on it as soon as we get ready. And yeah,
awesome.
That's it. Thanks.
Nice to see a new channel coming in to the Omnichannel. Yeah, so thank you. We have, just getting back to the job positions, we have many open on our website, so check there if you are interested to join the team. And yeah, thank you all for listening this weekly podcast. This podcast is available as video on YouTube and audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and others. And thanks for the Rocket.Chat engineering team to make this possible. See you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
See you.